Welcome to Study Wind, where we make learning a breeze. Today we will be studying surds. So a surd is an irrational square root. This is an example of an irrational square root. The square root of 4. The answer is 2, and it has a finite number of decimal places, in this case 0. Here's an example of an irrational square root. The square root of 5. It has an infinite number of decimal places, and it just keeps going. When you multiply two surds together, if they are the same surd, then they will equal the whole number, which is the number inside the surd, because any square root is actually just the number to the power of 1/2. So when something to the power of 1/2 is multiplied by itself, you use the rules for multiplying indices. So you add the indices, and 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1, and anything to the power of 1 is itself. You can also multiply surds normally by just multiplying the numbers inside the square roots to get the answer. For example, the square root of 13 times the square root of 12 is the square root of 156, and the square root of 132 is the square root of 12 times the square root of 11. You can also simplify surds by using the rule that if you multiply two surds with the same base number, it will be a whole number. For example, the square root of 132 simplifies the square root of 12 times the square root of 11, and the square root of 11 is a prime number, so we can't divide it up, so we'll focus on the square root of 12. The square root of 12 is the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 3, because those are the prime factors of 12. And there are two square roots of 2's multiplied together, which adds up to there being two square root of 2's multiplied together, which gives you 2 because 2 equals 2. And if you multiply two surds which are the same, then you'll get the whole number. And then we simply remultiply the equation if we think we have all of the surd pairs. So we get 2 times the square root of 3 times the square root of 11, which is 2 root 33. So the root 132 can be simplified to 2 root 33. Time for a comprehension test, so check your comprehension of things we've done. So what is the square root of 5 times the square root of 5? It's 5, because when you multiply two square roots together, they end up with the whole number, equal to the number inside the square roots. What's the square root of 7 times the square root of 12 simplified? To do this question, we'll need to look at some working outs. So first, the square root of 7 times the square root of 12 is the square root of 84. The square root of 84 can be divided up into the square root of 21 times 2 times 2. And since there are two square roots of 2's, we can take the 2 out of the equation and have 2 times the square root of 21. So the answer is 2 root 21. Challenge question. This question is more challenging than the other questions. What's 2 root 8 times 3 root 6? First, we multiply it out. So we expand the surds, since 2 root 8 means there must have been the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. So we actually multiply 8 by 4 to get the square root of 32. And the same with 3. We multiply the square root of 6 by the square root of 3 twice to get the square root of 54. Then we separate the square root into the prime factors. So the square root of 32 is 2 to the power of 5, and the square root of 54 is 2 times 3 cubed. The square root of 2 times the square root of 3 cubed. And then we take out the surd pairs. So 2 to the power of the square root of 2 to the power of 5 times the square root of 2 means there are 6 instances of the square root of 2. And there are 3 instances of the square root of 3, but we only take pairs, so we'll only take out 1, 3. So it adds up to 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times the square root of 3, ending up as 24 root 3. So 2 root 8 times 3 root 6 is 24 root 3.